The disaster of the Supergirl film is a modern marvel that needs to be studied. For how in the world is your second movie out, James Gunn, failing this badly? I thought you promised us that you were going to get scripts that were fantastic and nothing would be put to the screen until you're satisfied to make sure that it would be a banger. Well, it is a banger in the wrong direction as a box office bomb. As of right now, the film is standing at 83,370,000 as of July the 2nd of 2026. From what I can tell, that is a failure for this film, and the predictions for this film making its money back have gone down considerably. I'll be surprised if this movie makes 200 million in the worldwide box office when everything is said and done. Maybe it can make 200 million, maybe a little bit more, but as of right now, it's not looking good. This film has to make back 600 million in order to break even, roughly around there. I know that there are some people that are reporting that the actual budget of the film is probably around somewhere like 150 to 170. Honestly, from what we've seen with a lot of these superhero films, a lot of them tend to be around 200 million. So I usually err on the side of caution, just put it at 200 million, and then you have to multiply that by 2 or 3 for the marketing. So you have to make around 600 million before you even start making money on this film. So could it be lesser than that? Absolutely. It's all pretty much speculation at this point, but that's what I'm predicting right now. Now you have people wondering, why in the world do people hate female superheroes so much because of how badly this film is performed? And in my opinion, we don't hate female superheroes. We love female superheroes like Wonder Woman in 2017, Zack Snyder, that both got glowing reviews from the critics and from the fans, and from what I hear from everyone, they pretty much enjoyed that film. I've never seen it myself, but I hear great things about the film. Now you have Wonder Woman 84 that came later on, and people critique that film just as they do with the male superheroes. If it's a great film, we give it praise. If it's bad, though, we will criticize you for it, and that is what is happening here. James Gunn made a garbage film. Now, I'm not saying that it's just James Gunn. Craig Gillespie also needs to take some of the blame here, but it is a dual effort between the studio head and the director, and from what we can see, it looked like there's a bit of contention behind the scenes from the Hollywood Reporter article that we have here, stating that it was not necessarily the best of environments. According to the Hollywood Reporter, behind the scenes, Supergirl bombs, competing cuts, creative differences, according to Boris Kit. Now, from what we have here is Gunn and Gillespie had created differences over the direction of the movie. Numerous sources tell Hollywood Reporter, and the film never found its footing in the post-production process. The test scores, which are counted on a scale out of 100 points, never escaped the 60s, according to multiple insiders. Another insider said the movie's top score was only 70. Now, they were not creative aligned is the polite way of describing things, one insider said to the Hollywood Reporter. Now, you also have with the support that people push back, be like, no, it's just normal back and forth in the process. But as you're going to see here, as we get into this article, that there's a lot of issues that was going on within this film, and James Gunn stepping over the line of where a studio head should be, at least in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know the studio system enough in order for me to say that, but from what I can tell here, it doesn't look like it's necessarily all that great. Now, let's continue moving forward here. The filming wrapped in May 2025, and as early as the fall of that year, the studio and Gillespie knew the movie wasn't working. After December test screening proved to be just okay, the studio decided to take matters into its own hands and took charge of post-production to make its own cut. So James Gunn came in like, okay, you're not doing good enough, man. I'm coming in, I'm making my own cut here because obviously I hired the wrong guy, which can happen. But that's just the first indication that James Gunn is stepping over the line to take control of this film. The studio also enlisted writer Jeremy Slate, a Gunn favorite, who previously wrote an unmade feature based on DC superhero team The Authority to help with the post-production process, which I'm super glad that never came into production, because the way that it sounded, it was not going to do well. In fact, it probably would have done worse than Supergirl. So I'm just glad that film wasn't made. The extent of Slate's involvement is unclear, although it seems he helped write scores for a 9-day shoot of additional photography. Original screenwriter Anna Nora remained involved in the post-production process as well. So you didn't push your writer off to the side and forget about her for how garbage a film she made. Okay, well, at least you were willing to keep her part of the process, so I'll give you some props there. But man, I still can't believe that you got someone who never wrote on anything before, that this is her first project, and man, you did her no services, man. You just chose someone that you can control and cajole, and is really showing at this point in time. One issue at play was the cinematic fight, which was reconfigured. Dear Lord, that was not a fun scene to watch. I'm just glad that they got that over with, but dear Lord, that could have done so much better in my opinion. The movie had at least 4 test screenings according to sources, with screenings held in December 2025 as well as February and March of this year. And while social media users and critics are dunking on the movie's use of cover of Jimmy Eat World song, The Middle, the big needle drop in the final set piece at the February screening was a cover version of Cindy Lupus. The girls just want to have fun. So that's the song that James Gunn wanted to have in there. That song choice came from Gunn, but ultimately was abandoned for Jimmy Eat World cover. Like, can you imagine girls just want to have fun going to that fight scene through everything that we've seen? You have a drunken Supergirl that is not relatable really in any way. You have the daughter who is just going about my honorable family revenge, but has nothing else going for a character. And you're just going to play girls just want to have fun. So are girls just maniacs who just want to destroy everything? Like, dear Lord, that would have been a horrible song choice for that last fight, at least in my opinion. Although then again, maybe it just matches up with James Gunn and how he creates stories, where it's just a junken mess that poorly fits together. It's a wonder that Guardians of the Galaxy came on as well as it did, with results such as this that we are seeing here now. Now, there were signs that things were getting better. Deep into winter, test scores improved and hit the low 70s. However, rather than continue to tinker away on that cut, the studio decided to force a bake-off by creating 2 cuts, one by Glypsy and one by the studio. Genius, that's what you need. You need to then have division within your own studio and, try to come up with something better. You know what? Maybe that would work, but dear Lord. Yeah, that just sounds like a recipe for disaster. It is unclear what major differences emerged, but one source says Glepsy's version was 11 minutes longer and featured more of the villain, Krim, played by Mathis Skartets. When the two competing versions tested, the score surprisingly dropped significantly, although the studios inched out ahead of Glypsy's, but by only 2 points, according to sources. Glypsy's version scored strongly in song choices, pacing, and villain, eking out a win, even a mild one. The studio chose its cut as the one to get into theaters. The studio's insider says the differences were not particularly pronounced. Now let's hold up there. There was just pretty much a rounding error here. When you're saying it's within a point or two, that should not really come into your final decision making. What should have came into the final decision making is that those 11 minutes would have added more character to the villain, because the character has nothing. The villain has nothing to him. We know really nothing except for he kills people and he's getting women to have children with to repopulate. That's all we know. We don't know any deeper parts of his psychologically. We don't know how much we should hate him. We don't know if we should actually love him. We have no idea really what's going on with this villain, except that he is the bad guy. Other than that, we have no idea who this character is. The pacing would have been much better. Okay, why not have that then? Better pacing is always the way to go. You want to have what? Worse pacing is what we want for this film. I'm sorry, but okay, like, shouldn't we do like the best job we can with the song choice, pacing, and the villain? Like, as far as this article is telling me, it didn't degrade anything. Your heroes were already in the gutter. How much worse can it get? Oh, dear Lord, let's continue here. Now, the back and forth, does happen, but there's another insider that comes out and says it happens more than you think, but it's not normal. If a studio is going to put money into the test processes, it means they feel strongly about certain things. So strongly that they did it 4 times. So you can tell that Gunn's like, no, man, from a creative side, from my genius side, I want to change it like this. By doing this, Gunn has efficiently removed any blame that we put on Craig Gillespie, at least the majority of it, and put it onto himself. You went in, you interfered four times, and this was the movie that you came out with. This is the James Gunn movie with Craig Gillespie as a side character who just did most of the hard work of filming it. And it really shows in the final product. So much so that you had one of your studio heads, Peter Stefan, come out and make this statement. Well, Supergirl didn't meet our box office expectations. It's just one component of a broader, long-term strategy at DC Studios that we remain confident in. So confident, yes. Your second outing absolutely bombed. Your last film, Superman, barely broke even, if you can even say that. I still think that one has a long ways to go before it made any money. It was not that great of a film. This is probably the era of the weakest Superman and Supergirl that we've ever seen. And in many ways, the strategy remains intact despite the setback. Gunn and Safran will continue to guide the ship. It is unclear when the duo's contracts are up, but sources believe it is either the end of 2026 or the end of 2027. Now remember that. By then, DC Studios will have released not only Clayface, the modestly budgeted horror movie centered on the Batman villain, but also Man of Tomorrow, which Gunn is currently directing and which is slated to open July 9th, 2027. The Batman Part 2, Matt Reeves, is also in production and has an October 1st, 2027 date, but stands separate from the DCU. That's not going to cause any confusion or like, wait, where's our Batman? No, that's not going to cause any issue at all. Now, the reason why I said remember those dates is that is going to be roughly around the time that Paramount is going to be coming in and buying up Warner Bros. If the Clayface movie and Superman movie do as well as Supergirl did, I really honestly wonder what is the point of James Gunn to be in the studios. I personally would like to see him go at this point. We see that he's only a one-trick pony. He's only good at making goofy lines, at making kind of depressing found family films. That's pretty much it of James Gunn. Like, maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh, maybe being too condescending here, but there's not really all that much here that we're going to be looking at for this film. Now, you have a lot of people on Twitter, online, that are coming out trying to defend this film, but honestly, it's such a bad film that the majority of critics are just that we're just having a hands-off experience here. We're just laying it all out there. Now, you even have critics like Grace Randolph who are coming out with lambasting film. Now, Grace Randolph, she doesn't already like James Gunn, so that's not necessarily all that surprised that she would come and express a dislike the film for what it has become. But regardless, it's just showing here that the shills out there are not necessarily supporting this film, and there's a good reason for it. Now, I want to hear from you guys. Do you think that this film is being judged too harshly by its critics? Do you think that James Gunn should be given a chance? Do you think James Gunn's time is finally over and we gotta get someone new in there? Do you think Supergirl could have been a movie that would have been inspiring and hopeful like I thought it could be? Or do you think that this is the way that Supergirl should go as more of a depressing figure to offset her from Superman, who's the more happy Superboy, Boy Scout? I want to hear your thoughts on that below. With that said, leave a like if you like the video, leave a dislike if you did not, and don't forget to subscribe. I hope you all have a good one. Y'all take care now. Bye.